Did you know that your mind plays tricks on you? Psychology researchers have known for a while about something called cognitive distortions. These are negative or irrational thought patterns that play a role in diminishing your motivation, destroying your self-esteem, and contributing to mental health problems like anxiety and depression. Now, any of these negative thought patterns are dangerous because what they essentially do is lead you to believe something that isn't true. They lead you to inaccurately perceive reality, and that can be incredibly damaging. So in this episode, I want to explore some of the most common cognitive distortions that I've come across in our work with professionals all around the world, and then share powerful practices that you can apply to avoid getting sucked in. The first is overgeneralization. This is where you form a sweeping conclusion on the basis of very limited data. You see a pattern based on a singular event. For example, I didn't progress to the interview stage when I applied for that job, so I'm never going to get another job anywhere else. The mental filter. This is where you notice only the negative aspects of circumstances and you ignore the positive. It's also a form of pessimism bias. For example, everything has failed at work this week, when in fact, you did have a number of personal successes. Catastrophizing. You magnify the meaning of events and you blow things way out of proportion. They're going to notice the typo in my proposal and I'm going to lose all credibility and then get fired. You might also expect disaster to strike no matter what and then get fixated on all the what ifs. What if I miss my alarm tomorrow? What if I'm then late for the meeting? What if I lose the client deal? Personalization. This is where you place personal blame or responsibility on yourself as being the cause of a negative outcome, which you actually weren't directly responsible for. It's entirely my fault that the team couldn't close the deal, when you had nothing to do with it. You might also believe that everything others say or do is some kind of direct personal reaction to you. I wasn't invited to that project meeting, everyone must hate me. And fifth, labeling. This is an extreme form of overgeneralization where you assign labels to yourself. For example, instead of, I made an error in that report when I submitted it, you attach a negative label to yourself and you say, I'm a failure, I'm completely useless. Now, the fact is, these negative distortions of the mind can lead you to feel bad and to make decisions that aren't in your best interest. The worst part is that they can become so deeply entrenched as a pattern of thinking that you come to accept them as a part of who you are, which then leads you to feel helpless. So if any of these cognitive distortions that I just took you through sounded even remotely familiar, here are 4 practices to help. First, take a step back and observe. In the psychology literature, there's a concept called metacognition, which involves an awareness of our thought processes and understanding the patterns behind them. So basically, you're thinking about your thinking. So the first step is to do that. Pull back to a bird's eye view and start to view your thoughts objectively. Write them down. What are you telling yourself about the situation and the event? Is it factual? Is it accurate? Could there be another way to interpret it? Second, replace absolutes. When we're stuck in patterns of cognitive distortion, we often use absolute language like always, nothing, or never. Rephrase these statements, replacing absolutes with something more realistic like sometimes or on occasion. Third, from labels to fact. So you didn't go to the gym today. Instead of I'm lazy, rephrase it as I didn't go to the gym today. If you didn't get the job, instead of I'm unemployable, say I didn't get the job. It sounds really simplistic, but it's about training yourself to search for facts rather than drawing incorrect conclusions about yourself. Keep a record of ants. Going forward, keep a notebook where you capture whenever an automatic negative thought or ant pops into your mind. Write down the following. What is the thought? What led you to have the thought? What caused the unpleasant feelings that you're experiencing? Which cognitive distortions are clouding your judgment? What evidence is there that the thought is true? And what evidence is there that it's not true? Now, you've already thought about the worst case scenario, so what is the best that could happen? What's the most realistic scenario? And how likely are the best case and the most realistic scenarios? As you continue to do this, you'll start to notice patterns and trends, and it will become easier to identify and then reframe any cognitive distortions in your thinking. So I hope that this helped give you an insight into some of the cognitive distortions that commonly cloud your thinking processes, and you can use the 4 practices to help prevent you from falling into their trap. If you found value in this episode, please give it a like. And if you're not already part of the community, please subscribe and make sure you hit that bell icon to get more videos just like this. I'm Shadé Zahrai. I'll see you in the next one.